Jeremiah chapter 1, verse 5. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. In today's world, science currently claims the universe to be about 14 billion years old. In Paul's letter to the Ephesians, chapter 1, verse 4, it states that, just as he chose us in him before the foundation of the world, that we should be holy and without blame before him in love. These verses from Jeremiah and Ephesians suggest that God knew us and had a plan for us before the creation of the universe. Two things follow from that suggestion. First of all, his knowledge of us could be over 14 billion years old. His plan for us was not dependent on all the things we might learn during our life. It depended on what he had deposited in us. A logical question based on all of this is, what does it mean that he knew us? In classical physics, we describe the universe in terms of the fundamental quantities of matter, energy, and information. Albert Einstein taught us that there is an equivalence between matter and energy. Later on, Claude Shannon tied the notion of information to the amount of disorder in a system like the universe, and Rolf Landauer tied the manipulation of information to energy change. What this means is that there is a tangible connection between the quantities of matter, energy, and information. This scientific stroll down memory lane leads to the possibility that God's knowing of us refers to the information that establishes who and what we are when we are born. Perhaps before the Big Bang that started the physical generation process of implementing God's creation, God had a big hard drive in heaven that contained all the information for all the members of mankind that God might eventually bring to life. Now, what might that look like? Well, the informational repository for human generation is our DNA. The functional basis of information in DNA is encoded through the specific linear sequences of its nucleotide bases. Adenine, labeled A, thymine, labeled T, cytosine, labeled C, and guanine, labeled G. Acting like a biological alphabet, these four letters are read in three-letter combinations called codons. Each codon dictates a specific amino acid, the building blocks of proteins. Now, how many viable, genetically distinct humans could exist based on this information scheme? Humans, it turns out, differ from each other by roughly 3 to 5 million DNA positions on average in their DNA. The number of possible combinations of known human genetic variants based on this is often estimated to exceed 10 to the 1 millionth power. This effectively means there could never be duplicate humans, except of course for identical twins which come from the same fertilized egg. When a male and female come together to fertilize an egg, the combination of chromosomes in the sperm and egg create a new information template from God's library of combinations, and a new person, whom God foreknew before the creation, develops in the mother's womb and is born. Perhaps God's plan for that person's life is also in a linked file in God's big hard drive.